Hi everyone, this is Maria Feekes, and today I am meeting with a phenomenal guest. I know every single time I'm starting that it's phenomenal guest. Well, I'm in love with Kamryn. So Kamryn Lindblom, she is a wonderful mother. She will tell us her story, share a little bit about herself, but besides being an incredible super mama, I definitely she's my hero because she will tell you the ages of her kids and you'll understand what I mean. She also runs an incredible business and she is specialist in the area of postpartum nutrition. Okay. So you might think, well, why are we even talking about it, right? Because, of course, if you hear on my podcast, we're dealing with fertility journeys. We will really dive into that, why it's important, but it's a topic that is not coming up often. And Kamryn is here to really kind of break through some stereotypes and really tell you why we should pay attention to this so much. All right, Kamryn, let's jump in. So share a little bit about just yourself, you wonderful kiddos. I saw you today. I saw you great angels. So let's start with that, just your story. And then I really would love for you to jump into and tell like how did you even get involved with the topic of postpartum nutrition?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Maria. I'm so happy to be here. And thank you for reaching out. This is definitely something I'm passionate about and just excited to talk about. But yes, I am married to a wonderful man, and we have three littles. One is 4, one is 2, and then I have a 6-month-old. And yeah, it's pretty crazy, but it's a lot of fun. Truly, I am so grateful I get to be home with them, and that's just such a blessing. I know a lot of moms don't get to have that. And so I'm just so grateful for that. And at the same time, just trying to, figure out the day to day, figuring out how to prioritize time and spend time with them and just make sure, we're doing what we need to do. So yeah, how I got into postpartum, just like passionate about postpartum. I never actually had a negative postpartum experience, which I find a lot of experts in this field, they get into this field because they had a negative experience. But I have 3 older sisters who all have children, and I was able to kind of be around them as they had their children. And so when I got pregnant with my older sister kind of put that on my radar. She's like, so postpartum, that's something you're going to want to prepare for. And I'm like, oh yeah, that, because I've been focusing so much on the birth and I was really, focused on the birth class and everything that I needed for the birth and wanting to have a smooth birth. And so for some reason, I just really wanted a natural birth too. And so I was just leaning into all these things. And then she was like, oh, postpartum, so that's important. And I was like, oh, okay, tell me why, So she acted as my postpartum doula after I had my first. And my goodness, if I had not had her, I think I would have had a lot of difficult experiences. And my postpartum after all of my kids has been different in different ways, but my main problem was hemorrhaging after birth. And
Mm.
so the recovery seemed I don't know. To my experience, it was normal, but I think it was longer because I had that much more blood to restore.
Mhm.
And so she helped me with that, and she brought me homemade broth, and she made me these delicious, really easy to digest foods, and I was just, doing what she told me to do, just kind of like, okay, those first days after you have your baby, you're just kind of doing what you need to do. And I just did not realize how important that was until I kept hearing people's stories afterwards and what they were doing postpartum. And I'm like, whoa, that was not my experience. Like, why is everyone saying this is so awful? Sure, there was difficulties, but I had support, and I think that made all the difference. And so I kept hearing these stories, and I was like, no, people need to know about this.
Mhm.
People need to know how important it is to care for yourself postpartum. And so I then started my blog. I started writing my experience. Just like my blog is called Empowered Mothers, I wanted to share and empower mothers with knowledge
Mhm.
to kind of show them like, hey, this is what the world says it is postpartum. I should say Americans, Western world, but this is what it can be. And we have so much that we're not tapping into. And that is, very easy basic care. And so I kind of started, yeah, I started writing my blog, and then I had my second baby. And of course, when I started writing my blog after my first, people were like, well, that's easy to do after you have your one child. But when you have subsequent, like, yeah, you can't postpartum rest, after your first, you have your other children to chase around. And I'm like,
Never say never, right?
no.
No.
I mean, yes, I understand where that's coming from, but I want to challenge that. And so I had my second and I was writing again. I was writing, this is what it was like. Yes, it was different, but I still was able to implement that rest because that was important to me.
Mhm.
And I was including people around me, my husband, my amazing family in town, and friends. This is what I'm doing. They would ask what they could do to help, and I would offer. I would just say, hey, this is where I could have help. And that was something I had to really let go of, was this like I had to do it all myself mentality. I
Mhm.
had to just say yes to help. And
Mhm.
that was something that was really hard for me because I'd like to say, I am a high achiever, I'm a doer, I don't like sitting around. I can do it myself kind of thing. And I've picked up on that among my peers for sure. And so, yeah, being able to get to a place where I could say, you know what, actually, yes, thank you. This is what I need. And knowing that that's actually blessing the other person as well, because they're offering, they would like to help. They often don't know what to do. So I was able to give specifics. And so then, I had my third. And so between my second and my third, I was able to take a certification course through Postpartum University, which
Okay.
is run by Miranda Bowers. And I found out about her through my sister online. And so I followed her things. I listened to her podcast. I was just eating it up. Anything she had to share, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I want to hear and learn about. And so I kept checking on her website and things, and she had the certification open. And I was like, okay, I think this is the next step. And so I took that for 6 weeks and became certified in postpartum nutrition. And so then from there, I am, it's a very slow progress, but hoping as I continue, down this path with a business and everything, that I will be able to begin coaching young moms before they have their baby
Mhm.
about their postpartum. What is that? And creating a postpartum plan that is curated for their home, for their, specific lifestyle.
Okay.
Because I can go around saying, this is how you should rest, but that might not work for this person or that person, or it needs to be curated because of this way that they need this lifestyle. So that's my goal, is to be able to coach young moms before they have their baby, or even right after. But sometimes your brain is so hazy afterwards, it's like, what do I need to do? You just you're in survival mode. So be able to catch
Definitely.
that energy before you have the baby, of like, okay, you're in nesting mode, this is perfect, let's get this ready.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, that's my goal. And then until then, I've been able to support moms around me by making them postpartum teas, broths, soups, snacks. I've been doing nesting parties for my friends. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it
No.
is,
Uh-huh.
yeah, it's kind of like, instead of a baby shower, you get your friends together, and the mom has a bunch of cleaning things and food things that she wants done in her home. And so then we all come together and do it for an afternoon for her. And she gets to just put her feet up, and we put together the freezer meals in her kitchen. We clean, whatever she wants done. So that's preparing her bedroom and the kitchen and cleaning out the fridge, like you name it. And we all get to do it together, which is so fun. And so that prepares her and her family for the welcoming of this little baby, so that, when you're nesting, you have that energy, but you don't have the ability oftentimes to do all those things, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, so that's kind of like something I've been doing more on the side of, just for fun. Like, okay, you're having, especially subsequent children. Okay, let's come get your home ready, for this little one. And it's just so much fun.
Ah,
So
well, guys, we're gonna have some of that on YouTube as well, so you could see just the smile and the energy of Kamryn. But if you're just listening in a podcast, I only could tell you she's beaming with this incredible energy, and that's what attracted me to Kamryn so much, and why I wanted her to share the story. Now, because we deal with fertility, yes, you probably scratching your head and like, well, what does it has to do with the fertility journey? Right? So here is the mom. She now never had any challenges or issues, getting
right.
pregnant. She has 3 kids back to back. Everything is great. But here's where it happens, okay? So first of all, when we deal with fertility, right, it's and of course, like a lot of our families, we actually in a world where we're dealing with surrogacy, right? So mom, you yourself, you're waiting for your baby to be born, and then you're taking care of the baby. So in essence, you didn't have this, pregnancy experience, right? But many of you actually have been trying either get pregnant yourself. Also, you are still in a fertility journey where you need to create embryos. You're going through IVF or maybe IUI, or you need to have donor eggs, whatever it is, right? But then the transfer is actually happening to yourself, so you are pregnant, right? So let's not forget about those incredible moms and heroes that went through ton of the stimulation, ton of shots, many ups and downs, and finally you're pregnant, you're giving birth to your child. You have been so focused on getting pregnant and getting to your dream, which Kamryn will tell you, you probably forgot about yourself, right? But we cannot forget, and I'll ask you about some steps. But then we also have other incredible angels, the gestational carriers, right? So they're also going through pregnancy. Yes, they will, after pregnancy, give child to you. Yes, they know they're a humble place and they have this incredible mission that, they're helping you to achieve your dream, but they're carrying the baby. Then they have to move immediately into their life, right? And we also could forget so easily, right? Just because she doesn't have a baby to take care of,
Yeah.
we, and her own kids and I don't know, spouses, significant others, or whatever, the job or whatever responsibility she has, she's right in, and there is no nesting party, right? There is no,
Right.
let me help you because you have a kid and you have sleepless nights, none of it.
Right.
But this lady went through this, traumatic experience for her body.
Mhm.
So I want us, like, this was a big aha moment, I guess, when I met Kamryn, because I'm mom of 3 kids myself. And I remember that I never thought that this is a thing. I was a full-time working mom. I had 2 back-to-back kids. One was like big age gap, but then I was brand new mom where you feel so crazy. You don't know what you're doing. You're so scared and you just don't understand anything and it's all a blur. And then back-to-back kids, yes, it was also a blur because you're so tired and just trying to survive. So what I'm trying to say is that I think we as women, we really so focused on taking care of everyone's needs where we're not taking care of ourselves. We really need to pause and focus and
Yeah.
understand, but what is it to carry, to care for us? Yes.
Yeah.
So Kamryn, thank you for like really focusing us here. So now that we understand the story, we understand, how important it is, and we have only so much time in this meeting. I want to keep it shorter just because I know everyone is busy and we're definitely going to have follow-up sessions.
Yeah.
But today, at least tell us, like, okay, if you were to introduce this idea of postpartum nutrition, you said a couple important things that I wrote down. First is that you should be thinking about postpartum before you even give the birth,
Yeah.
right? So what does it mean? How soon you should be talking? What may be key questions you should be thinking about? Yes.
Yeah.
Then you said that, but then when you're dealing with postpartum recovery, you said about rest, saying yes to rest and to help, to support, right? Stop pretending you are superhuman.
Mhm.
Then you were talking about nutritions, anything else. So like maybe out of this body of knowledge about postpartum, if you will select like 5 key things we really need to have as a takeaway today, what would that be? Talk us through.
Yeah. Yeah, goodness. Let's see. So yes, definitely thinking before you have your baby. I mean, honestly, whenever you're ready to start thinking about postpartum, because sometimes you're let's say you're early pregnancy, you're just focused on the pregnancy, and that's good. Don't pressure yourself to be, oh my gosh, this is what I need to think about right now. But as you're progressing, it's a natural thing that your body is going through. And so you're going to get to this point, I don't know, mid pregnancy, where you're going to want to just start thinking, okay, what is this postpartum care going to look like? As the mom giving birth, are you thinking ahead to, what kind of foods are you going to have available for yourself? And that could be meals for your family too, or it could just be your food. The reason I focus so much on food is the support that it can be for you, or the lack of support it can be for you in that recovery time. And so, I hear a lot of moms after they have their hospital birth, they're given, hospital food, and it's not nutritionally dense at all. And on top of that, they weren't allowed to eat during labor. This is a basic hospital birth that I've heard of. And so they're not allowed to eat during labor, or if they are, they, have these, ice chips or something. And it's like, so their body is incredibly depleted. So why do we support a marathon runner with all these snacks and things during their run and after this huge meal? And we think about that, but we don't think about after running a marathon through birth. So what is that immediate postpartum going to be? It's going to be having that, electrolytes. So that would be broth, or that would be, there's a lot of different electrolyte drinks out there that you can get just at the store. But if you can have bone broth, that is probably your best bet for immediate initial recovery. And so drinking that, if you can handle it, sometimes you're nauseous after having a baby, so just, having both options is good, but electrolytes is going to be your main thing after birth. And then, getting the amount of calories that you burn during birth, I actually need to look up the numbers because it's a lot. So you're burning all those calories during birth, and then your body is burning calories to recover and produce milk at the same time. Whether or not you're going to breastfeed that baby, your body's doing that, right? And so to support your body and make sure it doesn't go into fight or flight, because it is in a way already doing that through birth, because it's just such a big experience for your body. So you want to support it with electrolytes, you want to support it with lots of calories. I don't want any thoughts about like losing weight. Like, this is not a time to do that.
Yeah.
And I mean, not just initial postpartum, I mean, for at least that first year. And everyone's journey is different. There's different ways to address losing weight, but your body needs as much support from you as you can get. And so, starving it is just going to be the opposite. It's going to put your body in fight or flight, and it's not going to be able to recover in the natural ways it was made to. So we're eating lots of calories, and I mean like rich calories. I'm not talking quick, sometimes it is a quick hamburger, cheeseburger, and that's all you want. And that is totally fine, because in that cheeseburger, you're getting that iron, and that your body needs that iron. So I'm not throwing out all, fast food or anything, but if you can support yourself so much with, high calorie, dense, like, don't shy away from, I love Irish butter, having Irish butter on hand, or anything that's like that rich, creamy, high calorie food, avocados, just go for it, but I also really encourage avoiding cold foods. So I sometimes break it down. It's a lot easier to think of warm foods versus cold foods, because warm foods are going to they're going to expand your blood vessels and support healing a lot quicker. And cold foods, they shrink your blood vessels and they cause healing to take longer. So that means no smoothies, no salads, even though those sound like a healthy option. In postpartum, you want to go warm route. And this is true for summer too. Summertime, sometimes moms are like, I just want cold foods. I'm not saying never. I'm just, for the most part, you want to go for warmer foods. And so, yeah, so that's, these are all the things I would talk a mom through before she has her baby. And what does it look like, down to like the details? Because sometimes we just want, like, okay, tell me the details, like, okay, I need to eat well. What does that even mean?
Right.
And so that's what I would want to cover as far as that goes. Is this the right track we're on?
Yeah, no, perfect.
Good.
So we talked about, yes, so we already talked planning in advance. We talked about nutrition, and part of your services, you're creating those meal plans and really
Yep.
helping things through the diet and everything. Let's talk about the rest and saying yes for support.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, this one's, I love this one. So rest, I was actually taught by my midwife, the 5-5-5 rule. And if you haven't heard of that, it's 5 days in bed, 5 days on your bed, 5 days around your bed. So it's this kind of, it's just basically like a map to follow for those first 15 days. that your goal is to be as close to your bed as possible. So that is being literally horizontal for those first 5 days. Now, obviously, you're going to the bathroom, you're showering, you're doing those things, but your home base is bed.
Mhm.
And that is allowing your body to 100% focus on healing and breastfeeding and nourishing that precious little baby. And so, and that would be, for surrogate moms, we can address that in a bit. But then, so then 5 days around, or 5 days on the bed. So that would be so you're still having your meals in your bed. You're still, you're bringing, let's say people come to visit and you are having them come to your room. And that's where you don't worry about how your room looks like, because people are not there to see your room. They're here to see you and the baby. And so you're staying in your room. You're not getting up to look pretty or anything for the guests. You're not hosting. Heaven forbid you're not hosting. And you're staying, that's still your home base. And then let's say the next 5 days, you're around your bed. So you have a little more energy. You're maybe going for a light walk. You go back to bed. You're sitting on your bed, you're laying in it, you're returning to it often. Let's say you have a load of laundry you need to do, you're doing it on your bed. You're just trying to bring things to you rather than going to those things. So whether that's, let's say you have other small children, they're coming to you, they're doing things with you in your bed. And I had my boys I read books to them in my bed. They came to me. It was very fun and like snuggle time. And it was time that I could still spend with them. But I was not like, oh, I need to get up and go do stuff with them. They just understood that mommy was recovering and they could come to me if they wanted to spend time with me. And so,
For them being
yeah,
so little, they already understood. I think that's also you teaching like this incredible value.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, absolutely. And just even telling, talking with my husband about all these things before I had my baby, my babies, just to like, this is where I expect to be. And if I'm better than, like, if I feel like I'm, have more energy, tell me to slow down, because that's easy there's so many times where that energy will spike and you're like, whoa, I feel so great because hormones.
I'm recovered. Let's go run. Yes.
Absolutely. Your hormones are doing great things and you're healing and everything. You're like, okay, I feel good. That's great. Use that energy to be with your people, to be with your family, to enjoy meals, to enjoy your baby, but don't use that energy to go to Target, like
Yep.
if you can avoid getting up and going to do things, even and like that, you can do a light walk. A lot of people get really stir crazy by week 2, and I did too. But what I'm saying is like focusing on your bed being your home base. So 555 is that rule that I try to abide by and try to share and try to give practical ways that can look, because there's so many different, stories of postpartum where moms have to go back to the NICU or things like that. But the idea is your bed is your home base. And everything goes from your room and your place of recovery. So that even if that's your couch, like whatever your place of recovery is, that's your home base.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And thank you. This is so valuable. Yeah, like I definitely didn't do that. And I'm gonna ask you, like, what does it mean not to do it, right? Like, because someone might listen right now, well, we didn't do it, my moms didn't do it, our generation didn't do it, no one that I know. Like you were so fortunate that you were surrounded by this very incredible sisters, yes, that taught you and explained to you what it
Right.
means to prioritize that recovery in yourself. But many of us don't have that mentorship, right? So we'll talk about what it means. What does it actually do to your
Yeah.
body if you don't do that?
Yep.
So let's talk about like asking for support.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
you mentioned, but I think we need to stress it one more time. Why? Because like even, for example, yes, if surrogates are listening, they could say, well, I'm by myself. I need to go back to work, right? Like, how do you do it? Or maybe it's a single mom, right? Or maybe, yes, mom that, a husband and everyone is around her, but still she has commitment to work.
Right.
And we know that, for example, in the United States, yes, we are not as fortunate as maybe some other countries. And I think I had like 2 weeks of maternity leave. That's it. Well,
Oh
that's
my
like
goodness.
your 14 days, right? So what maybe you still could negotiate on, like, what does it mean ask for support? And maybe you're going to say, I don't know anyone. I don't know anyone in
Right.
town. But
Right.
there might be so many women around you that you don't even think that exist that will do and help.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. So yes, there is a huge gap that I'm trying to and hoping to continue to close based just through knowledge and sharing these ideas over and over and over, because sometimes we don't really hear something till the third time around, right? And so yeah, let's say, so for support and saying yes to help, for starters, let's say for surrogate mom, I would think of, you are being given all this care to have this baby, right? So in order to do well after you have that baby, you do need that support afterwards. And so I would hopefully have that conversation with your workplace that the maternity leave is still important, even though you don't have that little newborn. Your body just went through a just tremendous event. And a visual that really helped me understand what my body went through, and maybe you've heard this before, this analogy that the placenta that you grew along with the baby is the size of a dinner plate inside your body. If that wound was on the outside of your body, do you think people would give you time off work? Yes. So for anyone who has surgery, there's all this protocol for recovery. So that being said, just because it's not on the outside of your body doesn't mean it's not affecting you. It's going to affect your work. It's going to affect your everything, your performance, everything. So it's actually benefiting your workplace to give you that time. How much time? That's debatable. I think it should definitely be more than less. For surrogate moms, your pelvic floor is not fully recovered. Whether or not you keep the baby, your pelvic floors aren't covered till 6 weeks, if that. Sometimes it's longer, depending on the birth, depending on if there was tearing, or if there was even like C-sections. There's different protocols for that. So it depends on what kind of support you're getting. So anyway, as far as that goes, talking with your workplace about what kind of maternity leave you can get. Because I really believe you shouldn't have to go back to work the next week or even 2 weeks later. Let's, try to get that as long as possible. And then talking with your family unit. Okay, mommy's going to have this baby, or, talking with your spouse and just being like, okay, what is it going to look like when I have this baby? This is what my body's going through. So make sure you know what your body's going through, for starters, so then you can share that with the people around you. If you have family in town, like, hey, this is the support that I'll need. When I had my second, I put together an email to my immediate family who was in town. And I said, when I go into labor, these are the things I'm going to need support in. My in-laws had offered to take our toddler when I went into labor. My sisters had offered to, take him for a day, one day afterwards, or take him for an afternoon. So those kinds of things. It was like, if you have people in your life that you trust with your subsequent children, that's amazing. Take advantage of that. And if you don't, there are a lot of support groups that you might not know of around you. So do some research, look online, Facebook groups. There's a lot of military moms who don't have anyone around them. And so then family comes in to support them, which is awesome. But that's another layer of having family live with you while you're recovering. And hopefully you're at a place where you don't have to host them, but that's another topic. But yeah, so there's groups, there's church groups, especially there's a lot of groups, in churches that hopefully would be a place to go to ask, like, hey, could you put together a meal train? And maybe if you don't feel comfortable asking that, have your husband do it or a friend do it. Like, sometimes we just have to, like, I think I had, a friend asked me, like, is there anything you need done before this baby comes? It was my third. And I was like, I would love a nesting party. And she was like, absolutely, I'll put that together. But it took me being honest about what I needed, thinking about what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, yes, let's do that. And so she made that happen. And so maybe for you, let's say you do have a lot of needs and you have no idea how you're going to get them met. Well, maybe you're going to write those ideas down. Just write them down. Whether or not you get someone to meet them, just write them all down. And then go from there of like what kind of support you can get. Is your husband going to get time off work? What can he do to support you? That would be bringing you your meals. That would be making sure your water is filled. Sometimes it's just really small things that help you get your feet under you. So those, just say yes to any offers of help and don't be shy to ask for help. I know it's hard in our day and age to ask for help, but it is really important.
This is wonderful. This is wonderful. Well, anything in closing
Yeah.
topics, because I know we could go like on
No.
and on and on. I definitely gonna bring you back. I definitely wanna really dive deeper into, maybe even we're gonna get as an example of, doing the meal plan and some other things.
Yeah.
So anything, like, if you would say, if there is one thing that you would want ladies to walk away with, and it don't have to be just ladies. Right now,
Sure.
could be someone, a caretaker, or maybe
Mhm.
significant other. So whoever is listening to that, what would you say?
Yeah. Um, just you will be so grateful if you say yes to rest. That the time after baby is time you're never going to have back, and so you'll never regret saying yes to rest. And a lot of times it's just choosing, it's not that you can't do this thing, whatever that is, fill in the blank. It's not that you can't do it, it's that you choose not to for a short amount of time. And that short amount of time, it might be a couple weeks, a few weeks, a few months. The fourth trimester is called that for a reason, because of the recovery. But you're not only doing yourself a favor saying yes to rest, you're doing your family a favor because you are able to show up better for them and more for them. You're able to not feel so overwhelmed. You're able to avoid postpartum anxiety and depression, or at least diminish that. And you're showing people around you that life matters
Yes.
and you matter. And if you're choosing life in this way, then you're taking care of yourself. You're taking care of that life. So it's you and the baby, not you or the baby.
Mm.
And it's just so important, and you are important. And saying yes to life is just the most beautiful thing in the world. So
Thank you. This is such a beautiful ending. So let's make sure we're all saying yes to life. Yes, let's make it a priority, and yes, and go from there. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kamryn.
yes, thank you so much.